the more I talk about Sundowns this season and I watch Sundowns games, the more I realize that they're a lot like Orlando Pirates from last year. Orlando Pirates from last year was a team that was very dangerous. At any given moment, Pirates could give you 4 or 5 goals. At any moment, you could have a very tough game. But what killed them was inconsistency. And the lack of consistency didn't play out in them coming out and being outplayed by their opposition. It showed itself in the games where it doesn't seem like the players could get up for the game, or, this wasn't a game that was working for them. And I think the first half of that game that Mamelodi Sundowns played versus Marumo Gallants was that type of game. It was a game where the players seemed to be very relaxed, very casual. They weren't necessarily trying very hard to go and score goals. They weren't trying very hard to put Marumo Gallants under pressure. And it showed because Marumo Gallants had more of the attempts in terms of attempts on goal, more of the attempts in that first half. And it had shades of Polokwane City, the Polokwane City game where Sundowns just couldn't turn on for the game. They just couldn't turn on. They couldn't get the engine started. And I think you have to give credit to Marumo Gallants for learning in the first half, for learning from some of the mistakes that they had made in the game prior. In their first game that they lost 4-1, the left back would vacate that position and that would allow Reyners to run in. I think Ribeiro was given far too much freedom in the middle. And what Marumo Gallants did today was stay compact and central and force Mamelodi Sundowns to attack down the wings. And that meant that Ribeiro had to go out to the wing at a lot of times to go and fetch the ball. He was even changing wings. It got so bad for play in the middle that Aubrey was crossing balls on the left-hand side, which is something that he normally doesn't do. Sorry to interrupt the video that I'm sure you're enjoying, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown me and my Overthinking Football platform. I'm a one-man band that's doing all of this, and I really do enjoy the comments about how, Supersport needs to come fetch me and SABC and all of that stuff. And I think it speaks to the quality of the content, but also the amount of effort that I put in. So I just wanted to say thank you. But the truth is that Abo Supersport and all of those guys, yes, we're competing with them, but it's a completely different place. The sponsors are looking for former players, and to be honest with you, running some of these things is getting so difficult, and things have changed at home. So financially, it's a whole different world. So I wanted to try something new and come to the overthinkers, the people who watch the content, and say it would be incredible if you guys could contribute monthly towards the platform, towards keeping my lights on, but also making sure that all of the crazy things that I want to do, that I want to take Supersport on with, I can actually do. And just for 20 Rand every month, I think that would be an incredible contribution if you can make it. It may sound like a little, but if we can get a lot of people behind it, then we'll be able to carry on doing what I do. I'll be able to carry on giving you the content and also expanding it, because we don't have shows like this, and us content creators need help from our audiences. So I just came here to ask you if you can. Here is the account number that you guys can use in order to contribute. And I think, I'd be very grateful if you would. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I think what today exposed maybe is again that sometimes the mixture of players might be the issue. That when Williams doesn't have a Kutsia to progress the ball into the midfield, Allende goes missing a little bit. And then when you have when you have Obas and Mokwena in the middle, and you have Allende, so you have 2 6s and an 8, sometimes you need somebody who's going to give the ball to the 10. And if your 10 doesn't find space and is moved out, that's an issue. Over and above the fact that I think compatibility-wise, Ribeiro needs runners from the wings. And he doesn't play well with the Shalulile that's standing directly in front of him, straight in front of him. He needs the runners that are coming in like that. So what Marumo Gallants did very well was force them wide, and then also force Reyners out of the game, but also play a high line that caught them offside quite a bit when they tried to play a long ball over. So I think Coach Dantans in the first half played a very good game. His Marumo Gallants team went into halftime 0-0. Second half, you could tell that Coach Manqoba spoke to the players, because this is something that Coach Manqoba has brought up quite a few times, that his team is not ruthless enough, that sometimes his team is rotating and circulating the ball just for the sake of doing that and not to move them forward. That some of the players, man, they're not showing a hunger and a need to go out and score and do all of those things. And you could tell in the second half, Sundowns came out a lot more aggressive and won their penalty, scored their penalty and made it 1-0. And that changed how the game was going to be played going forward, because Marumo Gallants needed to come back into that game. And what started happening was then we saw a ping pong, where Sundowns attacks and takes advantage of spaces. Marumo wins the ball back, they attack. And to be fair, what I will say is Marumo Gallants played a positive game, and this is something that I always cry about. That it's all well and good that you've come into a game versus Sundowns and you've defended, you've parked the bus and you haven't conceded anything. But if you haven't been dangerous, something's going to break at some time. If you haven't been dangerous, you're not going to be able to just spring up on Sundowns later on. And what happened to Marumo Gallants is that they ran out of steam, because there's two fighting things that are happening here. Sundowns still has a pattern of 60th minute, 65 minute, when the changes are made, they lose their structure, they lose control of the games. So if you're going to play Mamelodi Sundowns and try beat them, you have to try and stick around in the game up until the last minute. That's where Abo Polokwane got their goals. That's where Royal AM almost got 2 goals in their game to make it 2-2. Chiefs last minute strike that was disallowed, that became 2-1, but they could have also come back into that game. That last 30 minutes for Mamelodi Sundowns is the most important 30 minutes if you're going to beat Mamelodi Sundowns. But then the problem is, in Marumo Gallants' case, the countdown has begun, because you're not going to play 90 minutes up-tempo football. You're not going to play 60, 70 minutes up-tempo football. So whatever they were doing, they ran out of steam towards the end, and Mamelodi Sundowns, of course, capitalized, got their second goal. So Coach Tentens needs to learn that you can have all of the progressive play that you want to have. If your tools aren't the right ones, if you don't have the proper players for the style you want to play, sometimes it's okay to come out and say, guys, we're going to be solid and structured and disciplined for X amount of time. Then we're going to attack in spaces, in phases when we find them. Maybe a Kolam Lambo would have been an incredible player in this team for this game. But like I said, Marumo Gallants had their chances owing to some wonderful saves from Wu Williams. There was one that came from, I believe it was a corner, a header from a corner. There was another one where it was 1-1 and the player blasted the ball to him, parried it back to the player, couldn't finish it off. But great performance from Williams on that side. But what we're learning about the Sundowns is that they will give you chances. You will get chances. And what's funny about this Sundowns again is the comparisons with Pirates will also go, if they were able to win Ikaling knockout, they would become the same cup team that Pirates was. So that's a very interesting thing to see, that the two teams have kind of swapped, where Pirates is not blowing teams away this season. They're not trying to score 3 goals and all of that. They're very professional. They're doing their job. 1 goal, go home. 2 goals, go home. You don't need to be pretty. You don't need to be whatever. And they're leading the league currently unbeaten. Whereas Mamelodi Sundowns were playing like Pirates did, more dangerous, more chances, more box entries, but less control of games and maybe a little bit more emotional in terms of the importance of the games and how much effort they put into the games, is now might win a trophy going into a final versus Makesi. So this is a very, very, very interesting season. And let's see what Coach Manqoba has. Not a super convincing performance from Mamelodi Sundowns, to be honest with you. And maybe if Marumo Gallants was clinical with the chances that they got, maybe this game looks a bit different. But in any case, Mamelodi Sundowns wins this game 2-0 and moves on to the final of the Carling Black Label Knockout Cup. Let's see if Coach Manqoba can break the trophy drought, the domestic trophy drought, and maybe if he's going to give up the league. So much is happening. I think it's an incredible season. I'll see you guys on the next one.